beautiful trap. The breeze slowly blew the green wheat waves, and the white clouds showed the purity of the sky. Wang Xiumei stood in front of an earthen kiln, looking up at the sky. The sky was beautiful, which was an obvious contrast to her mood. She stopped looking at the sky and looked at the earthen kiln in front of her. The earthen kiln was no different from the one in her memory, but it obviously did not match this era. The one diagonally opposite it had disappeared many years ago. Why was it not destroyed or torn apart? Wang Xiumei couldn't understand, just like she couldn't understand her own life. Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later. That's all we know. 王秀梅暗叹了一声，曾经她是这个村子的村花，村子内就属她长得好看。她虽然出身农家，可却皮肤白净，身材高挑，脸庞也亮丽的很，美丽的容貌助长了她的骄傲。After graduating from high school, a matchmaker came to her family's doorstep, but she didn't like anyone, and she only wanted to get a good one. Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later. That's all we know. Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later. That's all we know. She and her boyfriend traveled all over the country, eating delicacies from the mountains and seas, staying in star-rated hotels, and wearing high-end clothes. She was dazzled by her boyfriend's tenderness and generosity, thinking that she would live a good life from then on. But little did she know that her suffering had just begun. That night, she was drinking with her boyfriend, and she was slightly drunk. Her boyfriend thought she was drunk and sent her back to the hotel. Then he helped her onto the bed, covered her with a quilt, closed the door, and went out. Lying there, she was still sighing that her boyfriend was really a gentleman. He said he would not touch her before getting a marriage certificate and kept her beauty for their wedding night. He kept his word and never had an intimate relationship with her. When will you get married? By that time, she must be the happiest bride in the world. Thinking, Wang Xiumei fell into a sweet dream. Dimly, she felt someone was kissing her and touching her body. She was startled subconsciously, and then she felt ashamed. It must be her boyfriend who couldn't bear it and touched her. She hadn't gotten over the shame yet, and then she felt something was wrong. The feeling this person gave her was wrong, not the tender feeling of her boyfriend. She became afraid and hurriedly pushed away the person who was hugging her and kissing her and turned on the bedside lamp. What caught her eye was an old man in his 50s or 60s. The old man was short and fat, with dark skin and a lustful face. He looked at Wang Xiumei with a hungry look. She knew this man and had just had dinner with him in the evening. He was the director of a large factory. His surname was Zhang. Her boyfriend brought her to the city, this time to contact this big factory and do business. Her boyfriend told her that if she could succeed, she would have no problem making millions. But why is he in his room now? Could it be that he bribed the waiter to open the door for him? Why are you here? Wang Xiumei asked subconsciously. Hey, why am I here? I have to ask Quan. He gave me the room card and let me in. Director Zhang chuckled. Error 500, server error. 1500, that's an error. There was an error. Please try again later. That's all we know. Haha, what an innocent girl. Quan can marry you? Are you dreaming? He has a girlfriend, and his girlfriend is studying in Japan. And you are just a girl he spent money to support. The reason why he brought you is for socializing and business negotiation. Whoever falls in love with you, you will be responsible for sleeping with him. If the waiter is satisfied and the conditions are negotiated, the contract will naturally be signed. I guess he was the one who brought you out, right? Never served anyone before? I heard that the girl named He Jing he brought last time was very good at waiting on people. What about you? If you can serve me comfortably tonight, I will certainly not treat you badly. After Director Zhang finished speaking, he threw himself at Wang Xiumei with a lewd smile. After hearing this, Wang Xiumei was shocked and angry. She couldn't believe what she heard. How come the world changed in just a moment? She went from a girlfriend and a wife-to-be to a sleeping companion who someone else paid to support? This is very unpleasant to say, and besides, I am still a virgin. How could I end up with such a result? But she somewhat believed what this old man said because she remembered that Quan once talked on the phone with a woman named Jing. He said that it was his ex-girlfriend who encountered difficulties and asked him for help. He even sent the other party 50,000 yuan. She thought he was quite affectionate at the time, but now she thinks it was the girl who helped him make money, so he should share the profits with her. No, you can't lose your virginity. You can't give in. You can't become a tool for their transactions. Wang Xiumei thought of this and hurriedly dodged Director Zhang's attack. She grabbed the teacup on the table and threw it down hard. The teacup broke. She picked up a broken piece and held it against her arm, saying, "Don't come over. Don't touch me. Otherwise, I would rather die here than let you succeed." Director Zhang saw Wang Xiumei like this. His face darkened, and he cursed a bitch in a low voice and said, Quan and I agreed. Why are you playing like this now? Since you are out to do it, don't pretend to be chaste. Just serve me well tonight. Otherwise, you will not be able to get a good harvest tomorrow. Wang Xiumei couldn't care less about being afraid at this moment. She picked up the pieces and scratched her arm hard. A long bloody streak came out and blood came out. Let me go. Wang Xiumei asked Factory Director Zhang. Don't let go. Director Zhang's face looked very ugly. Wang Xiumei didn't say much. She slid again and blood fell again. Let me go. She said again, but Director Zhang still shook his head. Just like this, Wang Xiumei asked, and she scratched her arms 6 times. It looked like it was full of blood, and it was too horrible to look at. Director Zhang couldn't sit still. With his status, what kind of woman could he want? However, he agreed to Quan's conditions because Wang Xiumei looked good. Who knew that this innocent-looking woman could be so strong, resist like this, and refuse to give in? One stroke. Everyone has such courage, but the difficulty lies behind. She stroked her again and again, and it must have hurt a lot, but she didn't stop. In order to defend her innocence, she really did it. From this point of view, this is a good girl, and she should have been deceived by Quan. Sister, if you are so strong, why bother hanging out with people like Quan? Director Zhang asked Wang Xiumei. Wang Xiumei's arms were numb from pain, but she didn't care. She only had one purpose, to protect her innocence. When the factory director asked, her heart trembled, and she couldn't help but replied, he pursued me, promised me, and said he wanted to marry me. Yes, I just followed him out regardless of my parents' objections. We were in a relationship, and I was not his adopted girl. I didn't know about him. I really didn't know he was such a person. I was such a bastard. Why did I believe him? Wang Xiumei couldn't speak anymore. Director Zhang fell silent after hearing Wang Xiumei's words. Looking at her heartbroken look, what she said must not be a lie. She had been deceived by Quan. What a stupid girl. He felt moved for some reason. It seemed that he couldn't get the girl in front of him today. If he continued to pester her, he was afraid that this girl would really do something stupid. Since she was a good girl, why should he embarrass her? He could just go find another girl to be happy tomorrow. Okay, because of your courage today, I'll let you go. You'd better leave overnight now. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't be able to leave tomorrow even if you want to, and Quan is not a vegetarian. Director Zhang had a kind heart and warned Wang Xiumei. Seeing that he didn't seem to be cheating, Wang Xiumei felt grateful and thanked him. Then she wrapped her arms in her coat and left the room without taking anything with her. She did not leave the hotel immediately, but walked lightly to the outside of Ah Quan's room. Ah Quan's room was not locked, and there was laughter and laughter coming from inside. She listened softly, heard two female voices, and heard dirty words. After a while, she understood that Ah Quan had actually found two hotel ladies to stay with him for the night. The reason why he did not lock the door was because a young lady came over shortly, leaving the door open for other ladies. At this moment, Wang Xiumei understood what it means to know people, but not their hearts. She was deceived by his appearance and thought he was a gentleman, but he turned out to be such a person and a beast. Wang Xiumei bit her lower lip, turned around, and ran out of the hotel. She stopped crying. People like him were not worth feeling sad for. She calmed down and drove back to her hometown overnight. Chapter 002, just wear it like this. Wang Xiumei arrived at her hometown exhausted physically and mentally. She thought she had arrived at a safe haven where she could rest and recuperate, but what she never expected was that she would be greeted by bad news. Her mother fell ill because she was angry with her and missed her. She became seriously ill, but her family could not contact her. In her panic, her mother suffered a heart attack and died without resuscitation. Because of this incident, his father was heartbroken and did not want to stay at home. He went out to work, leaving only one brother and sister-in-law in the family. Her brother-in-law blamed her very much for what happened to her parents. Her sister-in-law blocked the door and refused to let her in. She knelt in front of her mother's grave for a whole day. She felt regretful, but what was the use? Can she get her mother's life back? Wang Xiumei hated her youthful behavior. Her brother let her into the house. No matter how ugly her sister-in-law looked, she didn't care. But could she stay at home? Does she have the nerve to live there? She decided to leave. No matter which city she went to, she wanted to exile herself. Wang Xiumei glanced at her arm. The wound on it was knotted and looked ugly and scary, but she didn't feel anything. Her heart was already numb with pain. She couldn't shed tears, and she couldn't feel sorry for herself. Thinking of her mother, Wang Xiumei felt her eyes sore. She held it back, took a deep breath, and looked around. Everything here had changed, except for the crops in the field and the earthen kiln. If she could have her life over again, she would definitely honor her parents, listen to them, marry into an ordinary family, honor her parents-in-law, and serve her parents. She would never be angry with her parents again. But could her life be over? Can it be rewritten? Wang Xiumei sighed and walked step by step along the earthen kiln to the top. Let's go out tomorrow. She doesn't want to stay here anymore. She's also afraid that Ah Quan will find her here. If she's not here, he won't be able to do anything, and the family will be safe. But before she left, besides visiting her mother, she wanted to visit the place where she used to play when she was a child. Wang Xiumei thought to herself and slowly walked to the top of the earthen kiln. The earthen kiln was not high, just over 2 meters. She remembered that when she was a child, she used to climb up the earthen kiln and then jump down. None of her friends dared, so she jumped. Others were so scared that they screamed, but she was not afraid at all. She also laughed and laughed at their timidity. She still remembered that she had a dream when she was a child. In the dream, she entered the earthen kiln. There were several doors inside, and they were all locked. How could they be opened? Thinking of this, Wang Xiumei couldn't stop laughing. She was so naive when she was little, dreaming about everything. What a happy time it was when I was a child. She is lively and active, the king of children in the village, running around all day long, playing poor but carefree. She stood on the top of the earthen kiln, watching the green wheat waves in the field moving gently with the breeze. She suddenly remembered the time when she was 8 years old. That year, her aunt in the city brought her 5-year-old cousin to her home. The little cousin pointed to the green wheat in the field and said to herself, "Sister, look, it's such beautiful grass." She remembered that her mother and aunt laughed so hard, and she even pulled her cousin to tell him that this was wheat, which was ground into flour and used to make steamed buns, and noodles. The little cousin nodded, indicating that he had remembered it. The next day, he pulled himself to the leeks and said, "Sister, look, noodles are growing here too." She still remembers that she couldn't stop laughing. It turned out that her cousin didn't remember wheat and thought it was noodles. She told him that it was leeks. She remembered that her cousin frowned and expressed confusion. They all looked almost the same. Why are some called grass, some called wheat, and some called leeks? Wang Xiaomei gently curled her lips. The happy times are gone forever. Now her mother is gone. Her aunt doesn't want to care about her, and her little cousin has become a student at Tsinghua University. What about herself? She smiled bitterly, no longer looking at the field, but leaned down to look down at the earthen kiln. She felt a little dizzy and took a step back hastily. Now she no longer dared to jump down. She no longer had the heart and energy. She stood next to the earthen kiln. Many people said that this earthen kiln was gloomy. Many people say that it can knock people out of the wall and that it can be charming. Wang Xiaomei laughed. How could this be possible? It's just a clay kiln for making embryos, but it can tell so many stories. People's imagination is really endless. Wang Xiaomei stretched out her arms and stood in the wind. It was a rare moment to enjoy such comfort, which made her heart no longer so heavy. She really wanted to ride the wind and go away, and she really wanted the earthen kiln to take her back to her childhood. It's a pity. I can only think about what I have to do in the future, and I have to be strong to face the hardships in life. Wang Xiaomei smiled sourly, and just as she was about to open her eyes, she felt dizzy, and then she fainted and lost her identity. I don't know how long it took, but Wang Xiaomei woke up. She felt a severe headache and pain all over her body. What was wrong? Wang Xiaomei started thinking. She remembered that she was standing on the earthen kiln. Could it be that the earthen kiln collapsed? No, she didn't feel the earth kiln collapse. Did he slip and fall from the earthen kiln? That's not right. Her feet didn't slip and she didn't fall. What happened? And why does she feel like she's moving? Where are you? But was he sent to his brother's house or the hospital? If you commit such a sin, you might as well die and go underground to apologize to your mother. But I have a feeling that I am not dead, which is really a disaster for the year before last. Wang Xiaomei sighed secretly and steeled herself to read. This is? She looked at it puzzledly, as if she was being pulled along. There were fields on both sides of the road. Corn, peanuts, and beans were planted in the fields, which were only high and green. Wang Xiaomei was confused. Before she fell into coma, the fields were filled with wheat. Why was it only corn now? How long will she have to be unconscious? She seems to be on a trolley. Nowadays, in the developed world, almost every household in rural areas has trams and electric three-wheelers. Where are the trolleys? Who is pulling her? She endured the pain, turned over slightly, and looked at the person pulling the cart. The man was of medium height and looked very strong. But what made Wang Xiaomei's eyes wide open was that the man was wearing coarse clothes and he had his hair tied up. Wang Xiaomei was shocked. Isn't this how the ancient peasants on TV dressed up? How come you see yourself dressed like this? She hasn't made a movie either. Suddenly, she looked towards herself. She remembered that she had felt something was wrong when she turned over to look at the person who was pulling her. Now she finally knew what was wrong. It was her clothes, and her clothes were also ancient costumes. This Wang Xiumei hurriedly stretched out her hand and looked at it. It was not her own hand. Her hands were slender, white, and beautiful, but these hands were a little rough. Although they looked like the hands of a young woman, they should be hands used to doing work. She looked at her feet again. They were wearing embroidered shoes and white socks. Although they were not bound, their feet were definitely smaller than hers. She wore shoes of size 38. These feet were probably size 36 at most, maybe 35. What is going on? Dreaming? Why did you have such a dream? Wang Xiumei was puzzled. She stretched out her hand and pinched herself. She said she never knew it hurt in her dream, but she felt the pain. Wasn't this a dream? She had a headache, a stomachache, and pain all over her body before. Now she felt pain again. It was not a dream. So what was this? Wang Xiumei was puzzled. She only thought of one possibility for a while. That is, she had traveled through time and soul, but she couldn't believe it and couldn't accept it. How could she have traveled through time? She only went to the clay kiln once. Why did she wear it? She couldn't figure it out and had to close her eyes again. Chapter 003, Abandoned Wife. The car rumbled along, and Wang Xiumei, who had her eyes closed, heard the voice saying hello. The accent turned out to be the country dialect of her natal family, and it was not difficult for her to understand. While she was thinking, she heard voices again. It should be the man who pulled her calling someone. Uncle, Aunt, are you at home? The voice was an ordinary man's voice, not very nice, not unpleasant, just ordinary. Who is it? Came a female voice. She probably saw the person coming and continued. It's Baosheng. Why are you here? Come in and sit in the house. Auntie, I won't sit down anymore. Please call my uncle out quickly. I'll bring Miss Qiaozhen back. Qiaozhen? What's wrong with Qiaozhen? The woman became anxious upon hearing this and hurriedly ran to the truck to take a look. When she saw the people in the car, she hurriedly reached out and took Wang Xiumei's arm, shouting, Zhena, what's wrong with you? Wake up, don't scare Mom, her father. Come out quickly and see what's wrong with Zhena. As the woman finished speaking, another male voice sounded. What's wrong? What are you calling for? Is Jenner back? When he saw the people in the car, he was shocked and said, What's going on? How did Jenner become like this? What's going on with Baosheng? Tell me quickly. The man named Baosheng lowered his voice and said, Uncle, Aunt, don't shout. It's not good for others to hear. Let me tell you, today I went to the town to sell some things. When I passed by the door of Qiaozhen girl's house, I heard people talking about the Liu family scholar who was elected as a candidate and said that Liu Jiren's wife was unchaste and even stole people and asked the judge to divorce her. They said that after Miss Qiaozhen was divorced, she kept making a lot of noise, threatened Liu Jiren, and acted noisily. During the quarrel, she accidentally bumped into a pillar and lost her breath. The Liu family had divorced her and said she was unfaithful and refused to take her body. They actually threw Qiaozhen into a mass grave. When I heard Exiner, I hurried to the mass grave and found Qiaozhen. I touched her and found that Qiaozhen still had a breath of life. I quickly dragged Miss Qiaozhen to find the doctor. But the doctors all shook their heads after seeing it. Some of them wanted to show it, but they wanted 20 taels of silver. I really didn't have any, so they refused to show it and kicked us out. I had no choice but to pull Miss Qiaozhen back first. I thought about going back to the village to see Mr. Liang. Wang Xiumei, who was in the car, felt her heart sink after hearing this. Could the body she had traveled through be a slut? I cheated on my husband and was divorced. Is this seeking death? Being dumped in a mass grave? Is there anything worse than this? Why isn't it miserable enough for me there? Do you want to travel here and be a slut, an abandoned wife? But why does she feel that the owner is so sad? Could it be that there is another hidden reason behind this matter? Jenner, my poor Jenner, how could I, Jenner, be like that? It must be that beast Lu Mingyi who falsely accused me of Jenner. It turned out that he was not good to me. Jenner despised our family's poverty and often beat and scolded me. Now that he has won the imperial examination, he must have despised me, Jenner, so he found an excuse to harm my daughter. That damned Lu Mingyi, you must die a good death. You son of a bitch, God will strike you alive like a thunderbolt. After hearing this, the woman burst into tears and cursed. That wife and grandson are not a thing. He has corrupted his conscience and is a wicked person. Stop crying and carry Jenner in first. That bastard bullies my daughter like this. I won't let him go. You look at Jenner first, and I'll ask Uncle Yang to come and take a look. I'll ask the boss, by the way. When the second brother comes back, he must come to ask for details. We can't take advantage of that beast named Lu like this. The middle-aged man cursed. After scolding him, he grabbed Baosheng's hand and said, Baosheng, I thank you. If it weren't for you, your sister would have died in a mass grave. We don't even know a letter. I will come to thank you in person later. Baosheng's somewhat honest face turned red, and he said hurriedly, Uncle, please don't say that. We are not outsiders. Uncle, go and ask for old Liang. If you need any help, Uncle, just call me. I will go back first. Baosheng pulled the cart away. As he was leaving, he glanced at Wang Xiumei with a hint of distress and anger in his eyes. As Wang Xiumei was carried into the house, she didn't dare to open her eyes because she didn't know how to face it. When she felt herself being placed on the bed, she could feel that the bed beneath her was very hard, making her feel uncomfortable, but she just frowned slightly, but did not open her eyes. She heard the noisy sounds outside, and she heard the voice of the mother in this body crying. She just listened, but did not dare to respond. After a while, the owner's mother went out, probably to do something. There was no one else in the room, so Wang Xiumei dared to open her eyes and take a look. The house is not dilapidated. It is an adobe house with wooden rafters and wooden window fins. There's a table, 2 chairs, 2 boxes, and 2 beds. The quilt on the bed can be seen to have been covered for several years and has faded after washing, but fortunately, at least it is not rotten. 2 beds? Who else would you sleep with besides yourself? Wang Xiumei thought in her heart that she had not received the memory of the original owner. She didn't know how to get along with this family. When the man said that she was divorced, she didn't know what to do. She is a little afraid of facing people. After a while, the door rang, and Wang Xiumei hurriedly closed her eyes again. Second sister, don't walk so fast. Wait for me. A clear female voice came into Wang Xiumei's ears. Who asked you to be so lazy? Why are you following me? Are you afraid that I will eat my eldest sister? Another female voice came into Wang Xiumei's ears. From the sound of the voice, the 2 of them were not very old. They should be girls. How old was she? Wang Xiumei said she didn't know. The room was quiet for a while, and Wang Xiumei heard the second sister say, Why did you put her on my bed? It's true, mother. She was divorced and she is unchaste. Doesn't letting her lie on my bed